Hi everyone, so today I figured I would split my video into two parts. First, the books that I read in April, and second is the books that I picked up in April, so let's get right to it. The very first book that I read in April was Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, and before picking up that book I thought it was going to be kind of a scary horror type book, but it wasn't. It was about a teenager whose grandpa passed away and left behind a bunch of sort of secrecy about his past and the kinds of things that he was involved with. So this teen and his dad end up going on a trip where Jacob, the main character, the teen, finds out a little bit more about what his grandpa was involved with, and then he gets involved with that. So it was pretty interesting. I thought it was an okay book. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I wasn't blown away by it, and I don't think that I'm going to pick up the next book. But other than that, it was sort of entertaining. I just didn't think that was going to be the book that it was, so I was a tiny bit disappointed. The next book that I read was Summer House with Swimming Pool, and I ended up giving this book 4 stars. This is about a physician who has a family, and they decide to go on a summer vacation with some of their new acquaintances, and then certain things happen, and we don't know what exactly went down until like the very end of the book, but those are the kinds of books that I really enjoy. So the physician's not a good character necessarily, neither is anyone else in the book, but I think that's the beauty of this book and the books by this author, is that you just never know who the good guy is supposed to be and who isn't, so I really enjoy those books as well. Last but not least, I read Fates and Furies, and I've been wanting to read this book for a while, and I've heard a lot of mixed reviews about it, and I ended up giving that book 2 stars, so I didn't really enjoy it. I didn't care for the characters. The husband and the wife were pretty bland. I didn't care about their past, and there was a lot about their past, and I just didn't really care about their relationship, their friends, anything. Not a single person in the book that I liked, which seems to be a pattern for me lately, but I wasn't invested in the book. I wasn't invested in the characters. I felt like it was just dragging out for far too long, and I just wanted the book to be over. I had to struggle through the last little bit of the book just to finish reading it. So unfortunately, it was not a good read for me. Now on to the second part, which is the books that I picked up in April. And the first one is 3 Stages of Amazement. And this book is about a couple who lives in California in a little cottage they can barely afford, and right behind them is a massive mansion and a couple living there super successful. And while this main couple struggles, they sort of struggle through their marriage and their relationship with the other couple who lives up on a hill behind their little cottage, and sort of just the everyday struggles of living with what you have. And I'm not really giving this book a lot of very good overview, but it's kind of hard to sum up. But it seems like a really interesting look at things that people struggle with and married couples and what sort of things they have to go through, and I thought it was just a really neat book. I've never heard anything of it before, so if you have, please let me know. The second book that I picked up is The Age of Miracles, and I really like this cover. I feel like that's probably what kind of drew me to this book. I thought that it looked very pretty and interesting, and this is about I guess the future, and the Earth stops rotating. It just rotates much slower than it does normally, so there are different changes with gravity, and the days, they're longer, and all sorts of different things happen. And the main character, Julia, her family sort of has their own issues that are not exactly related to that, but it's just she has to go through a lot of changes with that. And I thought it was just a really interesting concept, kind of how changes in the nature affect people who live during those changes. So I think this is a pretty neat book as well, if you like those sorts of novels. So hopefully it's a good one. finally, the last book that I picked up is The Violet Hour. I also like this cover, and this is about a family, husband and wife and their child, or children, and it turns out that the wife had cheated on the husband and he ends up committing suicide, and the book sort of talks about their life before that unfortunate end. And I don't know, I don't really read a lot of books about family problems just because I find that to be really depressing and sad, but I thought that this book sounded very interesting, and I like it when you sort of learn about what happens in the end, but it takes the whole book to sort of get you caught up on it. So I thought it was just a really neat book, and like with other books that I've talked about, I haven't heard anyone mention anything about these books, so I thought that was it'd be really interesting to read them and see what I thought. So that's it for my video. Please let me know if you've read any of these books and also what you thought, and also please let me know what you're reading right now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.